In today's episode, you'll learn how we can add custom scroll view behavior to your Flutter app. So if you ever needed to create a custom scroll view experience, such as collapsing the app bar, creating a staggering grid, or creating the parallax effect, sliver are your best friends. So what are slivers? Slivers are a special scrollable component in Flutter that allows you to create complex scrollable UI with more control over the standard widgets like list view or the grid view widget. So you can think of slivers as a small portion of something bigger. So for this episode, I will give you an introduction or an overview of the sliver widgets and all the widgets that we can create and use inside of your Flutter app. And in the upcoming videos, we'll explore each one of them. So if you want to follow along, then create a new project and you can call this Flutter_sliver. And then inside of your project, go into the lib folder and create a new subfolder and name this page. Then inside of this page, let's create a new file and you can call this home_page.dart. So here we'll create a widget for our home page. So select the option to select the stateful widget and change the name right here to be home page. Then let's return right here a scaffolding widget. So now save, and now let's call this page inside of our main.dart. So you can come right here, just call the home page and make sure you import this class right here, home_page.dart. So now let's save. So as you can see, now we have an empty page. So to create the custom scroll view widget, we need to come right here inside of our scaffolding widget. You need to call the body property, and here you need to use this widget right here, the custom scroll view widget. So inside of this widget right here, we'll place our sliver widget. So to work with sliver, this custom scroll view widget has to be a direct child of this scaffolding widget. So right here, if you hover over it, you will see we'll have a list of slivers. So here, just call our list. And here, we'll define a few widgets that we will need to add it. The first widget I want to add is a collapsible app bar widget. So we can call this right here, add collapsible app bar widget. Then I want to add a list widget with lazy loader or lazy loading. And then I want to add a container widget. After that, I want to add also a grid. And lastly, I want to add a custom widget that will fill all the remaining space. So inside of this CustomScrollView widget, we need to use widget with a prefix calling sliver. So the first one I want to do is this one right here, sliver app bar widget. So this widget will allow us to add an app bar widget. So this widget have the same properties as a regular app bar widget, but the difference is then when we are using in combination with a list or a grid, as the user scroll down, this app bar will collapse. So right here, let's just add a title and also a background color and a foreground color. So we can use it right here, a custom text widget. And let's say this will be responsive app bar. And then you can add a background color. You can use colors dot brown. And then for the foreground, you can use colors dot white. So now save. You will see right here we have our app bar widget. So in the next episode, we'll explore more customization that we can apply inside of this widget. But like I said, you basically have the same properties as you have for a regular app bar widget. So after that, we need to use a list. So we'll use this widget right here, sliver list. So here we have a few options. The first one is the default name right here, sliver list, and then you have the dot builder name constructor, dot list name constructor, and dot separated name constructor. So let's use right here the list, and right here we need to provide the delegate. So when you hover right here, we need to use a sliver delegate. So you can use sliver child builder delegate, and you also can use right here the sliver child list delegate. So this list delegate, use it when you have a small list of items that you want to create a list for it. And then for the builder, when you don't know how many items you will have, or when you want to create a lazy loader effect. So let's use this builder right here. So right here you need to provide an anonymous function that will take the build context and also an int as an index. So you can call this context, give a comment, and then int, and call this index. So inside of this method, you need to return a widget. So let's return a list style widget. So right here, let's define just the title property. So you can use a text widget. And let's say list item, and then do a string interpolation using the index. So add a semicolon right here. So now if you save as it is, you will see right here we'll have an infinite list. This is because we didn't specify how many items we want this function to generate. So you can add a comma right here after the function and call this child count. And right here, let's say we want to generate 30 items. So now when you save, you will see we have items from 0 to position 29. Notice right here the behavior of this app bar widget. As we scroll up, the app bar will show, but as we scroll down, the app bar will be hide. So you can also control this behavior right here. For that, we have this property right here, this property pin. If you use the value as true, even if you are scrolling, now this app bar is fixed. But here, if you use as false, which is the default value, you can see this will be hidden. You can also make sure this will appear as soon as the user scroll up by using right here the floating. This also will take a boolean with the value of true. As soon as you start to scroll up, you'll see this app bar will be shown. But if you change right here to be false, you need to scroll all the way up so this app bar can be displayed. As you can see right here. So let's go all the way down. As you come up, this will be displayed. So like I said, in the next video, we'll explore more about the sliver app bar widget. So now we want to add a container. If you come right here and try to call a container widget directly, you will see we'll get this error right here. This is because Sliver won't allow us to add a regular widget inside of his list. So for that, you can come right here, select the option to wrap it with a widget, and you can call this Sliver to box adapter. And here you provide your container widget as a child. So now let's apply some customization to this container widget. The first thing I want to do is add a margin. So you can use right here a constant edge set with the value of all. And here the margin will be 8 pixel. Then let's add a color to it. So let's use colors.amber. And then let's define the height. This will be 100 pixel. And then for the child, we can have a center widget with a text widget on it. For the text, let's say regular widget. Then add a comma right here. And then let's apply a style to it. Let's add some contrast by using the color as white. So now save. Let's scroll down after our list. So reload right here. We'll see we get an error. So let's see what is the problem. So add a comma right here. So now save. You can see right here, this is our container widget. So now we need to add a grid. So if you have right here a sliver list, we also have a sliver grid. So right here we have the default name constructor, we have the builder, the count, and the extent. So let's use the default right here. So for the delegate, you can use basically the same two classes as we saw right here for the list. We can use the sliver child builder delegate, or you can use the sliver list delegate. So let's use the builder right here. So basically we need to provide an anonymous function and then call our widget right here. So again, you need to provide the builder context and then an int and call this index. So right here, I want to return a container widget. So come right here, return container widget, add a semicolon right here. So let's apply a color to this container widget. Let's use colors.blue. And then for the child, let's have a center widget with a text on it. Let's say grid item and provide the index. So now we also need to provide the grid delegate. This will take the sliver grid delegate. So you can come right here. And here we have these two options right here. Sliver grid delegate with fixed cross X count, or sliver grid delegate with max cross X extent. So let's use right here the fixed X count. So right here, you use this grid delegate to specify how many items you want in your cross axis. So let's say we want to display 2 items per row. And then let's also apply a margin and padding using the properties right here. The main axis space, the value will be 10. And then the cross axis spacing, the value will also be 10. So right here, you also need to provide the child count. So let's say we want to generate 6 containers. So add a comma right here. So now save. So now when you scroll down, you can see you have your containers right here. So now let's say we want to add a padding for these containers. So you can come right here, select the option to wrap with a widget. And here you call the sliver padding widget. So here, instead of having a child, you have the sliver property. So we need to define the padding. So let's say constant edgely set dot symmetric, and then horizontally, the value will be 8 pixel. So add a constant keyword right here. So now save. You will see now we add a padding for our grid. So notice the behavior right here. This is a custom scroll view effect. We have all these different widgets into a single scrollable area right here. So again, in the upcoming video, we'll explore more about the list and also the grid widget. So now the only thing left to do is calling right here this custom widget, so we can add and make it fill all the remaining space. So for that, you can call right here the sliver fill remaining, and here you just provide a child, and here let's use a center widget with a text widget as a child. Let's say fill the remaining space. So right here, add a comma here. So now let's format everything. So now save. And now let's see the behavior of this widget. Notice right here, as I'm scrolling down, you can see this will fill all the remaining space, but when I'm scrolling up, this will collapse. So this is the behavior of this sliver fill to remain widget. So this is it for this video. This is all the widgets that you can use inside of your sliver widget. In the upcoming video, we'll explore more about each one of these widgets that we see in this introduction video. Let's start by learning how we can customize this responsible app bar widget. So this is it for this video. If you find this video useful, give a like and also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notification when new videos are coming out. This is it. See you on the next one.